Well, hello.
Hello,
Hello.
happy whatever day it is. How are you?
Right, we're getting close. It's almost Christmas, and I know there's a
Yes,
lot of us counting down, ready to be done, and wake up Christmas morning and go, "We did it! We made it! Now for
we
another year."
survived.
So, so last week we had a great conversation about life insurance, and afterwards, just so our viewers know, we kind of talk after our sessions, and give each other feedback. And we thought this week would be a good time to talk about money mindset.
Mhm.
So when you think money mindset, Amanda, what do you think of?
So when I think about it, I think about, I've talked about me being more so on the practical side of money and being able to make recommendations on what people should do with their money and things of that nature. But the mindset piece is what they grew up to believe, what they were taught, what were they raised around, just the beliefs that they may have now, which aren't necessarily true. They're just beliefs.
So, yes, I agree. It is a unique set of beliefs and attitudes about money and how you actually think about money. And it's important because your beliefs about money drives your decisions that you make about saving, spending, anything that relates to money.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm going to get a little woo on you because, us coaches, we can get a little wooish sometimes, but there's a phrase that my mother always told me growing up. You can do anything you put your mind to. And
Mm-hmm.
she was actually right that there is some science behind this. It's the law of attraction.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, what it says is there is power in our thoughts and the words we speak because it tells our brain. I mean, we literally feed our brain what to concentrate on. And a good example that I always tell people is my yellow car example. If I set out on my day out running errands and I'm like, okay, I'm going to start counting yellow cars. I'm telling my brain we're looking for yellow cars. It's the same thing as if you've ever looked at a specific car that you wanted to buy and then all of a sudden you see, my cat always loves to join us. Um, you always see that you start seeing that car all the time. It's just what we tell ourselves is what we focus on.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say this is a good explanation of money mindset?
It is absolutely. It's the same as if something has come into your life or you're focusing on something and then you see it everywhere. So
Yes.
similar to that, like I remember when I got my car, all I noticed on the road were the same
That car.
cars. And I was
Mhm.
like, I didn't realize there were so many of these on the road. Well, I'm
Right.
sure there always was, but I just wasn't paying attention to it until now. I was very, aware of what type of car I was driving and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of really great data and really great information on the law of attraction. And
Mhm.
you're absolutely right. Whatever you focus on is what you're gonna get.
Yeah, absolutely. So I came up with some common themes that I talk to my clients about that come up during our
Mm-hmm.
coaching. And being aware of these thoughts is really the first step to making a shift. So, one of the first ones I hear a lot is if I only had more money, then life would be different.
Right.
If I only had more money, I could travel. If I only had more money, I could spend quality time with friends. If I only had more money, I could pursue my passions. If I only
Mm-hmm.
had more money, I could contribute to a meaningful cause. On only if, only if. Well, that thought just sucks.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna be real because we can always travel more. Now, we may not be able to get on an airplane or we may not be able to get on a cruise line, but we can always travel more without a lot of money. We can
Right.
always spend quality time with family and friends without a lot. We can always pursue our passions. I mean, it's just a lie, is what it
Yeah.
is. It's just a lie.
Yep.
So, instead of fixating on if I had more money, what if I told myself I make it a priority to spend on things that matter most to me,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So if I want to travel, how much is it going to cost to travel? And I save up for it. So that dictates what I spend on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's exactly why when I sit down with clients, I have them think about their financial goals, both short term and long term. Because if you're telling me this is something you absolutely want to be able to do, whether it's buy a house, save up for an amazing vacation, build a family, whatever, then you're telling me that's something that's really important to you. And if it's
Mhm.
really important to you, then you should have some, you know, some action items and step in place to get to that particular
Right.
goal. That should be something that you focus your attention on.
Right. So if you catch yourself saying, if I only had more money, be aware of it and
Mm-hmm.
question, is this really true? I mean, is there another way I can do X that you're saying if I had more money? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the other one I hear a lot is I can't save right now. I just can't save right now. Okay. Well, I'm going to challenge that one too. Because we've talked in the past, over the past weeks, like your acorns example. What
Mm-hmm.
if I rounded my spending up to the whole dollar? That's saving,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, we
Yep.
don't have to save $1,000 a month to be considered saving. Pennies on a dollar is considered savings. So, are you sure you can't save? I mean, are we 100% sure we can't save? I mean, can we skip one fast food meal and put that into savings? Or do we need Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, satellite? I mean, do we need all those channels or can we eliminate one and put that into savings? I did a quick calculation. $25 a week would give you $1,300 at the end of the year. I mean, is there something you can save? And
Right.
so the thought I would recommend is I save before I spend.
Exactly. Yep. And that's the problem with a lot of society is the preferred priority would be savings, expenses, everything else. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, the majority of households do expenses, everything else, and then savings if there's even anything left. So there needs to be a prioritization shift
Mhm.
if you do truly want to save on where your money goes and in what order, because that is going to make a huge difference. And then you'll know exactly what you have left over for any of the
Yeah.
other things you don't really need, but maybe want.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, here's another one. They have money because they were born with it, because they don't have kids, all these excuses of why they have money and I don't. But is it possible that they just spend wisely?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know people that were born into money that don't have money now.
Right.
And I do know people with kids that have money. So is this really true?
Yeah, that one is tough because obviously we want to make sure that we notice and identify privilege.
Mhm.
So there are people who grew up with money, who were taught about money and how to
Mm.
successfully save it, invest it, spend it, all of that stuff, who still have money now because they were given an education. But
Right.
the mere act of just growing up with money doesn't necessarily mean that you just have a free ride the rest of your life. You have to actually be able to understand how to manage it. And there's plenty of people that grew up incredibly poor that have money now that, had to learn on their own or had a mentor that taught them or whatever else. Like there's so many ways out there, so many resources out there that you can use to increase your financial literacy, learn how to manage it better, and find yourself becoming wealthier because you're doing the right things you need to do to save.
Right. There's not a wealthy gene.
Right. Yeah.
It's not in our DNA. And,
Right.
and that leads into my next one. My family never had money. Well,
Mm-hmm.
go out there and Google how many billionaires there are that grew up poor, and it will
Yeah.
totally debunk this thought. I mean, the most famous one that I could think of is Oprah Winfrey. I mean, she's
Mm-hmm.
very open about how they grew up in poverty, and I'd say she's got a little bit of change in her pocket now.
Yeah. Yeah, another good example that I've heard his story a few times is Mark Cuban.
Oh yeah.
He was incredibly impoverished when he was younger, and he credits a great organization called Junior Achievement, which goes out and teaches kids in grade school about money for helping him increase his financial literacy as a kid and as a young adult to then be able to grow up and start thinking about businesses he can start or invest in or own or whatever else. So it's definitely not how you grew up. It's like, what have you done with the time to figure out how you want to get to the wealth or whatever you're trying to get to.
Yeah, because the internet has endless possibilities of getting
Mm-hmm.
this education that we do need to seek out, because we do not teach this in school. Even
No,
today, they're just starting to touch it, but it's getting a little better, but it's not where it needs to be.
we're at 23 states out of 50 right now that mandate a personal finance course in high school, but
Mhm.
that's not even half of the states. So like we've come a long way because that number is much higher than it was when I was in school,
Right.
but we still have a long way to go until us in the entire country have
Mhm.
the right kind of education for our kids to be able to graduate high school and know what to do with their money.
Yeah. Okay, this one kills me every time. You could just see my face when I hear this one. I can't make money because. All
Yeah.
right. We all have crap that we go through. You might
Mm-hmm.
have something major financially happen. You might have some medical setbacks, but there is always ways to make money.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah.
So shift this thought to, I can find creative ways to make a living that I'm proud of and that's legal.
Yes.
But we have so much opportunity now that we haven't had with the power of the internet. There's just so many different ways to make money, because we were just talking about you dog walking this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
which, and I was talking, we've got a trip that we're trying to plan over the summer, and I don't want to board my dogs. Well, I'm going to bring somebody in to, so there's just tons of ways to make money right now. You just might need to get a little creative.
Yeah, and it's something that I also talk to clients about because when I see them, I tend to see either a spending issue or an income issue.
Mhm.
Someone could be really great with their budget and know exactly where their money is going and are still saving money, but they're just not making enough income to be able to save more or be able to, do this or do that. And when it comes to earning income, every job or every opportunity requires some percentage of time, energy, or money. There
Mhm.
are some jobs that you have to put a lot of money like down ahead of time, but then maybe not so much time. Or you don't have to pay anything to get started, but you got to give a lot of time to it.
Mhm.
Energy in there too. So like everyone just needs to think about what do they have available to them. For instance, when I moved to Colorado 5 years ago, I had a lot of time on my hands. So in order to get out of debt, I took on a in-person part-time job. I was working full-time at home. I was working remotely at the time. So I also got a part-time retail job, and everything I made from that retail job went towards my credit card debt. And
Right.
as soon as I paid off my credit card debt, I stopped working the retail job because I said I don't need it anymore. I was using it to do this. There's been
Mm-hmm.
times when I've had 3 jobs. So like you really just have to think about what can you afford to give up? Money, time, energy, and how can you turn that into a way to bring in more income?
That's right. That's right. I mean, they'll wrap your vehicle. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for money, there's just the possibility. Get out on the Google, and there are just and there's article after article after article. People rent out rooms. I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
so many options out there. I mean, of course, keep it safe. Be
Sure.
smart about it. But
Yeah.
there's always ways to make money.
Yes.
I'll always have debt. It's like the Scarlett O'Hara. I will always have debt. Will you? I
I hope
mean,
not.
I mean, I think there's levels of debt. Credit card debt, we hope that we can eliminate that pretty
Mm-hmm.
quickly. Now, a mortgage or something of a big asset, something that has value, you might pay on that for a little bit longer, but to say I will always have debt, why don't we shift that and say I deserve to be free of debt, free of at least credit card debt, or free
Mm-hmm.
of, a car loan, or, whatever. But to say that I will always have debt, I mean, that doesn't sound have a good message to your brain.
No, it doesn't. And again, this is something that is a prioritization issue. If being out of debt is really a big priority for you, if it is something you absolutely want to accomplish, then you need to sit down and put a plan together on what it would look like to get out of debt. Now,
Right.
granted, I work with some people who are pretty deep into debt and need to start utilizing some external, resources. There's, debt specialist, credit specialist,
Mhm.
consolidation. Some people do have to go through bankruptcy. It's important to work with a professional or an expert that can guide you in the right direction based on your particular situation. A lot of people are in debt that they can themselves get out of if they put a plan together and if they start aggressively trying to pay off that debt. But that either means making more income or freeing up money that you already have to put towards that debt. So it's something that if it's really important to you, you'll need to focus on it. You'll need to put a plan together and then be able to figure out if I put an extra $200 towards these credit cards, how much sooner can I have all of this paid off without putting extra on it?
Right.
And then you'll have an end goal. And then the goal
Mhm.
is to not do it again, not to
To
get back
learn.
into the.
Right. To figure out why you did it to begin with. If it's
Sure.
just a spending. Now, I mean, medical stuff like that,
Oh, yeah.
that
Yeah.
happens. But it's better to have some kind of emergency fund and, what we all talk about. But,
And there,
debt happens sometimes,
yeah.
and sometimes you need it. Thank goodness we have it. But if it's a spending issue, then that's something a little bit different.
And to be like, there's no judgment around people in debt. I've been in debt. I still have some debt.
Yeah.
There's nothing. Everyone is in debt for a reason,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be a good or a bad reason. A reason
Mhm.
is a reason. So whether it is a medical issue, whether it is someone who really loves to go out and spend on clothing or whatever else, like that is a reason for someone. And again, you just have to sit down with yourself and say, is my love of spending or was my unpreparedness in this medical emergency something that I wanted to avoid in the future? Do I not want
Right.
to go through that again? If so, an emergency fund is important. Or looking at your spending and saying, I need to cut down on spending things I don't need anymore. I mean, you have to have these conversations with yourself and be honest with yourself
Mhm.
and figure out, okay, why am I doing the thing I'm doing? Why am I accumulating debt? Was it in my control? Was it out of my control? And what can I do in the future to make sure something like this doesn't happen again?
Exactly. Okay, you'll love this one. Investing is for smarter people than me. And the one thing
Oh,
I can tell everyone is investing is intimidating. It
mhm,
absolutely is. But I'm going to bring up acorns again. That is a way of investing right there. And the more you invest, the more you learn.
yeah,
It just automatically happens. I mean, the first time we invested and I learned about this stuff and, going and getting my CPA exam, but to actually see it and go, oh, capital gains, long term, short term. Wait a minute, why? You just automatically start learning these things because you hear them, but now you're practically seeing them, and it
mhm,
just innately you grow in the area. That's why they always say start small, get
mhm.
you a professional, ask a lot of stupid questions that you think are stupid, but it's your money. You should be able to ask anything you want. And investing is not for only smart. What does that even mean?
No, I've seen plenty of dumb people invest, like
Oh, yes.
and the other thing that ties in with that are people will say, "I don't know how to invest." And
Right.
we have to remind them, if you work at an employer who has a 401k that you're putting money into every month, guess what? You're investing. That money is invested. It is growing for you. Maybe your employer is matching, but you're invested. So you know the basics of what you have to do to do that. And some people are fine just knowing that. I just want to know what I need to invest my money into, or, just give me an easy thing to do and do whatever. But some people would like to learn more. Some people
Right.
want to dabble a little bit in this, that, and whatever else. And that is why there's really great resources out there. That's why there's professionals who can help you and teach you more about investing so you can play with it a little bit more. But it's not for investing is for everyone because wealth building
It
is for everyone.
it is. It is. Okay. It's too late to start now. Or my other side is I got plenty of time. Both false.
famous,
Both
famous
are
last
false.
words.
Yes. 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 It's
Yeah.
never too late. I mean, so the mind shift on that is thank goodness I finally started.
Mhm.
If I've waited till I'm 50, well, at least I didn't wait till I was 60, you
Yep.
know? And then I have plenty of time to save. I think we've debunked that enough on this. We've talked about saving in your 20s, how fast that grows versus saving in your 50s, but it's never too late and it's never too soon.
It's so much cheaper to save and invest the earlier you start than to wait later, because
Right.
if you're trying to get to a similar number at the end, you're missing out on years of compounding, you're missing out on years of investing and putting money into it. And so it's never too late, but it does get really expensive. And
Yeah.
it does usually get outside of people's income if they wait until closer to retirement. My mom didn't open up a retirement account until her 50s. And we set her up with a Roth IRA that she's putting money into now. She's learning the habit of investing and putting that money aside. I mean, there's plenty of clients that I've seen that are, especially business owners. Business owners, they find it difficult because they don't have a retirement account already established for them. Like if they were an employee at a company, they have to establish one on their own. They have to actually put in the habits to put money into that account based on what they're making from their business. And there's a lot more effort that needs to
Mhm.
go into it, but it's just as important for business owners to have retirement and to save for the future as it is for employees to do.
That's right. That's right. People who want money are selfish, greedy, mean. I've heard all of those. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no. I mean, not everybody's walking around like Scrooge, and Scrooge
Mm-hmm.
turned around at the end, did he not?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I know that, when I was growing up, That was a big one on me. People that have money are just greedy. They're mean. They don't share. They blah, blah. That is a money story that you need to be aware of, because if that is your story, you will prevent yourself from moving forward into the next level of money,
Yeah.
for sure.
There's plenty of mean rich people just as much as there are plenty of mean poor people. I mean,
Exactly.
money can make people do crazy, stupid things. We've
Mhm.
seen that in society, we've seen that in the news, all sorts of stuff, but it's it's not the money equals a bad person. You know, that's something I heard a lot as a kid, and I know a lot of people did here as a kid. Like, if you grew up in a poor house, anyone that was rich was figured to be evil. They stepped on people to get to where they are. They exploited people, or they did that and whatever. Sure, there are examples of that, but that is not the only way to wealth. That's not the only
Yeah.
way to become rich. Some people just did it through a lot of saving, a lot of investing, a lot of smart strategic things. So
A lot
yeah,
of
that's
sacrificing.
a lot of sacrificing. Yes.
So I think we need to get the full story before we make this generalization of, well, and I'm not saying that there aren't some wealthy people that are just, ugh, but I mean, that's just a few. I
Yeah.
think the majority, you wouldn't even know some of the wealthy people walking around.
I
So,
always recommend people like read some like biographies or autobiographies of rich people, because
mhm,
they might be really surprised. If you read a book about Warren Buffett or Oprah or
yeah,
Steve Jobs or any of these people, a lot of the things that went on in their life, a lot of the sacrifices or the mistakes or the whatever else that they went through are just the same as anyone else,
mhm.
but they found ways to wealth through various avenues, and it makes them a lot more realistic when you can actually read their whole story and see how they got to where they were, as opposed to just seeing them on a screen or reading about them in a magazine and going like, oh, I wonder how they got so wealthy type of thing. So
Yeah. You usually see successful people at the end of their journey,
right.
not the journey, not the entire journey.
Yep.
Have you ever had a client tell you, I am so broke. I can't do anything else, but yet in the next breath they're like, but me and my friends went to the movies and we went out to eat and we did all, and I'm sitting here going, I thought you said you were broke.
Yeah.
So I would so if you are broke, then that means you're sitting at home not doing anything. So I would have
Mm-hmm.
to again challenge, are you really broke? Or are you choosing to spend your money instead of putting your other priorities first?
Yeah. Yeah, that's always a good one, and you're absolutely right. Broke has such a broad
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
broad definition that people who live paycheck to paycheck sometimes consider themselves broke, or people that maybe working three jobs. I've heard people with three jobs say I'm broke, and
Mhm.
you have to really sit down and think about like what is broke to you, like what is the definition to you. Is it you don't have any savings? Is it that you're in a lot of debt? Is it that all of the money that comes in goes immediately out? Figure out what that definition is and then compare it to like the real
What broke
definition of broke
what the
is,
real broke definition is.
and
Yeah.
get kind of a perspective check on maybe you're, you know not don't feel like you're making as much as you should, or maybe you're wondering where all the money goes and all of that. But saying that you're broke or saying I'll continue to stay broke, that will continue to be what you focus on, is how broke you are. And what you would like to focus on is how to get out of
Mhm.
that physical and emotional mindset, and get to where you don't believe that anymore.
Mhm. So this one was a big one for me, but it's only $20. But it's only $5. But it's only $10. Remember, I said $25 a week is $1,300 a year. You find that four times, That's a substantial amount of money in my opinion. I mean, that's an emergency fund, a nice emergency fund.
Yep.
So it's these small dollar amounts, people. Everybody has you focus on the bigger dollar amounts, but if you start looking at the little amounts that we spend here and there, those really add up to quite a lot of money. And I was shocked when I did it myself.
How much money do you think we've spent on just saying, oh, it's only $5, it's only $10? Like, if we had the ability to add all of that up, we would probably be a little ill. Like,
You would be shocked. You would be shocked.
I have a terrible example of myself. Like, when I was in my early to mid 20s, I was obsessed with designer bags, and designer bags in the sense of like Coach, Michael Kors. I wasn't into like luxury brands, but I just really cared about him and wanted to buy them. And I walked into a Michael Kors store and saw that there was this gorgeous bag that was on sale, and it was $100 off. And here I am thinking, oh my God, I just found an amazing sale. It's such a pretty bag. It's $100 off. It was 500 and now it's 400. I walked into that mall without any budget, without any need to buy anything, but I walked out spending $400 on a bag that I didn't need and that I didn't budget for because I
Mhm.
saw a sale and I said, I'm saving $100 on this bag.
Oh yeah. The
And I know that's
the
happened to so many other people too.
absolutely. I mean, the marketing's there for a reason to get you, oh, I'm saving $100. Oh,
Yep.
a lot of money goes into that marketing.
That right there is an emergency fund. That
That's
is a
that's
decent, contribution to a Roth IRA. Like, that could be something. Instead it's in a purse that I no longer own and someone else hopefully is enjoying out there. But yeah.
my last one. If you find yourself saying we can't afford that, I want you to try to think of shifting that thought to we're putting our money towards something else right now. So if a friend calls and says, "Hey, we're all going skiing after Christmas. Do you want to go?" Instead of saying, "No, I can't afford that," say, "I'd love to plan it for next year, but our money right now is going towards paying down our debt, or our money is going toward," instead of just saying, "I can't afford it,"
Mm-hmm.
say, "I'm doing this instead, but possibly next year I could go."
Yeah, and
So,
that's a good holiday.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a good holiday tip too. I've used the example that's not in my budget right now.
Hmm.
And as we had our episode on, Christmas tips, tricks, whatever else, it's important to be honest with people who are coming to you with some sort of financial thing, whether it's the family is pulling you into paying for gifts for everybody, or maybe there's an assumption you're going to pay for dinner around the holidays or something like that. Being honest and saying, I'm sorry, that's not in my budget right now. This is what I can do. Or, we're saving up to do something like that next year. This year, let's do something a little bit differently. Setting boundaries is going to be so important because then people know exactly what you can and cannot do, and you're making sure that you're expressing that and you're not just saying a flat out no, which then gets people wondering, well, why aren't they coming? Do they not like us? Do they not like skiing?
Yeah.
Whatever. Like,
Story, right? Yeah.
right, yeah.
So I guess the bottom line here is start paying attention to what you're thinking. Figure out your money story because this will help you
Mm-hmm.
become very aware of the things that are tripping you up to reaching your goals. Because that's all we really need to do is shift our mind into what we want, and it'll be amazing at how much easier this is. And again,
Yep.
this is what I do. Not only can I help you come up with a plan, but we can find out what you're thinking and what is holding you up because it's amazing. Sometimes we say things so much to ourselves, we don't even realize we're saying them anymore. It's
Yes.
almost like it's on automatic. And
Yes.
sometimes you just need somebody to go, "Ooh, wait, what did you say?" And we can identify those things and get you shifted in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Anything else you want to add on
I
money
don't think so.
stories, mind shifts?
I think that was a great list. A lot of stuff that we've heard or said ourselves, and
Yeah.
really good
It was a
pointers.
easy list to come up with. Believe me, I've said every one of these things.
Yep, yep. I am guilty. So yeah, just some great tips on how to get past those kind of mindset blocks or beliefs that you're telling yourself, and figure out ways to put yourself in a better mental place for the financial goals that you want to achieve.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, until this was a little bit longer, but until next week, I'm sure we'll have something fascinating to talk about.
Absolutely.
Bye, guys.
Bye.